Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having a fantastic day today. Let's get right back into Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. This time, we're going to go through the party member Nenio, who is probably my favorite character in the game to voice act. Going through her experiments and the way her mind works is absolutely a ball. I really enjoy it. And as you'll be able to see in this build, she's fantastic to have in your party as well. So we'll pick this picture because it looks like a wizard. Scroll down, wizard, scroll savant. And some wizards consider scrolls a natural extension of their magical abilities. She is a kitsune. Kitsune, or foxfolk, are vulpine shapeshifters known for their love of both trickery and art. Kitsune possess two forms, that of an attractive human of slender build with salient eyes, and their true form of an anthropomorphic fox. Despite an irrepressible penchant for deception, Kitsune prize loyalty and make true companions. They delight in the arts, particularly riddles and storytelling, and settle in ancestral clans, taking their wisdom from both the living and spirits. So they get change shape, so they can change from fox to human. Agile, +2 racial bonus on mobility checks. They have the same +2 racial bonus on perception that dwarves and elves have. They get a +1 to the DC of any saving throws against enchantment spells that they cast. And if a Kitsune has a charisma score of 11 or higher, or for King Kitsune, an intelligence score of 11 or higher, they gain the light spell ability to use 3 times per day. They also choose a heritage. So in this case, we'll go with King Kitsune. King Kitsune are notoriously clever and cunning, often far more than they seem. Such Kitsune gain +2 dexterity, +2 intelligence, and a -2 in strength. This racial trait alters the Kitsune's ability score modifiers, obviously. Okay, and now you also choose a specialist school. A wizard can choose to specialize in one school of magic, gaining additional spells and powers based on that school. This choice must be made at first level, and once made, it cannot be changed. A wizard that does not select a school receives the Universalist school instead. Each arcane school gives the wizard a number of school powers. In addition, specialist wizards receive an additional spell slot of each spell level he can cast from first on up. Each day, a wizard can prepare a spell from his specialty school in that slot. The spell must be in the wizard's spellbook. A wizard can select a spell modified by their megamatic feat to prepare in his school slot, but it uses up a higher level spell slot. Wizards with the Universalist school do not receive a school slot. Okay. So, her specialist school is illusion. Illusionists use magic to weave confounding images, figments, and phantoms to baffle and vex their foes. She automatically gets blinding ray, and then at 8th level, she gets invisibility field. All right, she's got a 7 on strength, 17 on dexterity, 12 on constitution, 18 on intelligence, 9 in wisdom, and 13 on charisma. Yay! For the first time, we have a party member build where I can perfectly mirror their ability scores. Nice. All right, if we go next. So she gets class skills in Arcana, Knowledge World, Nature, Religion, and Use Magic Device. You absolutely want to get Magic Device. She's a scroll savant, so you want to make sure she can use any scrolls that she has. I would also recommend going ahead and choosing Knowledge World. I feel like that's kind of lacking in the party members that you have. So it's nice with her being able to bring that to the team. But of course, as always with the skills, you can do whatever you want. All right. And when you get her, she is level 3. So we have to get up there before we can start making choices of our own. She is a Scholar Arcane, Acid Splash. She has an Arcane Bond object. A bonded object can be used once per day to restore any one spell that the wizard had prepared for this day. Now, she has 2 opposition schools. One is Abjuration. Abjurations are protective spells. They create physical or magical barriers, negate magical or physical abilities, harm trespassers, or even banish the subject of the spell to another plane of existence. So, for example, Stone Skin. You don't want her casting those types of spells. And then she also has an opposition school, Necromancy. Necromancy spells manipulate the power of death, unlife, and the life force. Spells involving undead creatures make up a large part of this school. She does not like Necromancy at all. And then these are level 1 spells that you probably rarely, if ever, use. But we'll go through them and sleep. She is straight up neutral, which is actually one of the things I really love about her. I feel like she's ride or die. She could care less what you're doing. You want to do something good? Cool. I'll learn something from it. You want to do something batshit crazy and evil? Cool. I'm down for that too. She's like the Pathfinder version of Canderous Ordo. It's like whoever you are, I'll love it. It's all good. All right. And she gets Summon Monster and Snowball. And pick up the skills. Now, she also has Spell Focus and Evocation. And, okay, she takes Blur and, I believe, Mirror Image from here. Now, level 4, you're finally at the point where you can start making your own choices about what she's going to do. I would absolutely recommend you stick with leveling up intelligence. It's really the only thing she needs at this point. Do you skip spells? Now, for Nenio, yes, she does have a spell, focus, and evocation, but I would recommend you lean into this is a person who specializes in illusion, and they're all about crowd control, using illusions to mess up people that you're going up against. So you don't really need to divvy up her spells between evocation and illusion. You can do that, though, if you're determined to do so. Especially at level 2, she doesn't have any good crowd control illusion spells. So if you want to use Burning Arc, you can. Or you could just focus on using Mirror Image and Blur to give your tanks or your pets that are up front a little bit more protection. All right, now for first feat that we can choose, I will go with Point Blank Shot. You get a +1 bonus on attack and damage rolls with ranged weapons at ranges of up to 30 feet. All right, and now at level 3, we get Displacement. The subject of this spell appears to be about 2 feet away from its true location. The creature benefits from a 50% miss chance as if it had total concealment. That's cool, but what we really want is Haste. Haste is a fantastic spell, not just because it gives you an additional full attack when you have it on during combat, but it's also a fantastic quality of life spell. There are multiple times in this game where it'll give you a large map and make you go all the way to the end in order to complete it, but it does not give you an exit marker at the end. So you got to go all the way back to the front if you want to get out. Being able to just throw haste on your party and get out of a situation at any point in time is very, very useful. Nenio allows you to do that pretty much at will. Okay, and at 5th level, whenever the Scroll Savant uses a scroll, he calculates the DC for any spell it contains using his intelligence modifier, instead of the minimum modifier needed to cast a spell of that level. Good stuff. Put on the skills again. All right, and we're still at level 3. Like I said, I use all my level 3 spots for haste, but you could use heroism if you want, or if you're determined to use this as a way to damage people, fireball and battering blast are available. Whatever you want to do. And not transmute. No, transmutation is fine. It's abjuration she doesn't like. All right. Next feat. We chose Point Blank Shot because then you get Precise Shot. You can shoot or throw ranged weapons at an opponent engaged in melee without taking the standard -4 penalty on your attack roll. Definitely want to get rid of that. Okay, now we get to the real spells that make her such a danger. So that you've got Rainbow Pattern, which only affects enemies. That's always nice. A glowing rainbow-hued pattern of interweaving colors fascinates those within it. The rainbow pattern fascinates a maximum of 24 hit dice of characters. An affected creature that fails its saves is fascinated by the pattern and becomes dazed. That's cool. It affects everybody in 20-foot bursts, so that's nice. But for my money, Phantasmal Killer is the way to go. You create a phantasmal image of the most fearsome creature imaginable to the subject simply by forming the fears of the subject's subconscious mind into something that its conscious mind can visualize. This most horrible beast. Only the spell subject can see the phantasmal killer. You only see a vague shape. The target first gets a will save to recognize the image as unreal. If that save fails, the phantasm touches the target, and the subject must succeed at a fortitude save or die from fear. Even if the fortitude save is successful, the subject takes 3d6 points of damage. I love it. I love the description of it. I love seeing it. I love seeing an enemy get wiped out when they get hit with it. This is fantastic. And she gets a ton of spell slots to use it. Intelligence. Skill points. Whoa. Oh, you continue beefing up intelligence, so of course you get more skill points. It's always nice having an extra person with perception, but she only gets a +1 on that. I think usually I go with mobility here. All right. Greater invisibility is nice if you have somebody on the team who can do sneak attack. You could throw that on them if you want to use a slot. Beyond that, you can add a evocation spell here if you're determined to do so, but honestly, like I said, I stick with illusion. And now you're at level 8, so you get an invisibility field. You can make yourself invisible as a swift action for a number of rounds per day equal to your wizard level. These rounds do not need to be consecutive. This otherwise functions as greater invisibility. All right, and now we can go ahead and get greater spell focus, illusion. And we get 2 more illusion spells. So, shadow evocation. You tap energy from the plane of shadow to create a quasi-real illusory version of a fireball, lightning bolt, shout, volcanic storm, or ice storm spell. Spells that deal damage have normal effects unless an affected creature succeeds at a will save. Each disbelieving creature takes only 1/5 damage from the attack. Regardless of the result of the save to disbelieve, an affected creature is also allowed any save or spell resistance that the spell being simulated allows, but the save DC is set according to Shadow Evocation's level rather than the spell's normal level. This is cool, right? It gives you some more options, but the thing to keep in mind is this is very manual, all right? So you slot this spell, you're in combat, you can't just right click on it and have her automatically use it. You have to manually click on it. You have to manually then select what spell you would like to use and then throw it out there. So I don't care for it because I like to just set it and forget it for crowd control. I just want her to throw those crowd control spells out repeatedly ad nauseum. But if you don't mind the manual process of using this, it's fantastic. Phantasmal Web is what I usually use at this level. It affects all enemies within a 30-foot burst, only enemies. You implant within the minds of your targets the illusion that they are engulfed in tangled webs teeming with swarms of tiny spiders. Those who fail to disbelieve the phantasmal web are treated as if in a web spell, but must also make a fortitude save each round after that, or become nauseated for that round by the phantasmal spiders. Freedom of movement allows unobstructed movement, but does not negate nausea effects. Great stuff. Okay, and you have more level 5 options here. Cloud Kill is absolutely fantastic as long as you have a way to make your party immune to poison. So you could definitely pick that up. Fire Snake is a nice evocation spells. You got a couple of nice examples, but nothing that I feel you should use over and above the illusion spells that are available to you. And Scroll Mastery. At 10th level, a Scroll Savant can use his own caster level instead of the item's caster level when using a scroll. And for level 11, scroll down, I would go ahead and spell Specialization. And I would specialize in, where is it? Phantasmal Killer. I'm sorry, no, actually, Phantasmal Putrefaction, since you have that available now. Yep. Phantasmal Putrefaction. All enemies and only enemies in a 30-foot burst. You implant within the minds of your targets the illusion that their skin is rotting away. Large rents are appearing all over their bodies, and their internal organs are spilling out into a putrid, half liquid mass at their feet. Those who fail to disbelieve phantasmal putrefaction immediately take 1d4 points of wisdom damage. This damage only occurs once. Each round after that, an affected target receives another will save to disbelieve the effect, and targets that fail must succeed at a fortitude save or faint, falling asleep as per sleep, except that it isn't a magical sleep effect. Waking up doesn't end the spell for a target. It must continue to attempt will saves to disbelieve and fortitude saves to avoid fainting each round until the spell ends or the target successfully disbelieves. Fantastic. Now, at this level, you're going to need to choose one other power to lift up into level 7, and we'll get into why in a few minutes. So you have a bunch of different options here. Me personally, I go with Chain Lightning, but you can do whatever you like. And 21 in intelligence. And spell specialization. Still sticking with this. And then you get 2 more spells. Choose whatever you like. Heroism is a fantastic buff. You also have Hellfire Ray and Elemental Assessor if you want some evocation to switch things up. True Seeing is great, but you want the communal version. Do whatever you like. All right, and for our level 13 feat, I'd scroll down here and get Meta Magic Empower. You can increase the power of your spells, causing them to deal more damage. All variable numeric effects of an empowered spell are increased by half, including bonuses to these rolls. It also causes the spell to increase in level by 2. But this still works for us. We'll get into why when we get to the Mythic Path options. And for spell specialization, yep, I want Phantasmal Putrefaction. What's the problem? There we go. All right. And for level 7, you have Shadow Conjuration, which basically takes conjuration spells that are level 6 or lower. You'll get a full list of all those conjuration spells that you can then cast. And it also gives you mass invisibility. This spell functions like invisibility, except that it affects all party members and is broken when anyone in the party attacks. So these are all cool. Like mass invisibility, there are some situations where it might be nice to be able to sneak your party into better positioning and, maybe having a level 6 conjuration spell. But I would venture to say that the situations where this is really, really useful are for massive visibility is low. And for shadow conjuration, like I said before, hate having to do a bunch of manual work for one of my party members. So what I prefer is to take Chain Lightning and then empower it and bring it up to level 7. And Mythic Path will allow us to do that. And that way you could just Chain Lightning. If you want to spend level 7 slots, you can still dedicate a couple for Shadow Conjuration and Massive Visibility in case those specific situations come up. But otherwise, I think Chain Lightning is probably a better use of your spell slots instead of keeping those. Again, unless you have no problems with manually selecting those conjuration spells. I don't have the patience. Select specialization. Again, still sticking with Phantasmal Putrefaction. You could choose whatever you like here. Prismatic Spray is nice. I would probably go ahead and get True Seeing Communal. Just keep in mind there is a diamond dust cost, so don't go around spamming it for no reason. And Legendary Proportions I kind of like as well. You could choose whether or not you want to use a slot for Nenio on it, but it's up to you. It does also have a dinosaur bone cost, though. All right, and for level 15, go ahead and get spell penetration. And then we get a wizard feat as well. So I'll go ahead and take greater spell penetration back to back. Why not? And then for spell specialization, level 15. So I don't think I have a new one yet, right? Yeah, it doesn't have anything new yet. So we'll still stick with this for now. All right, and now we're into level 8 spells. So you get Shadow Evocation Greater. This spell functions like Shadow Evocation, except that it enables you to create a partially real, illusory version of a Chain Lightning, Cold Ice Strike, Keyshaw, Sirocco, Caustic Eruption, or Elemental Accession spell. So basically much more powerful evocation spells. Your mileage may vary about whether or not you want to use it. And then we got Scintillating Pattern. All creatures within a 20-foot burst centered on target creature within close range. A twisting pattern of coruscating colors weaves through the air, affecting creatures within. The spell affects a total number of hit dice of creatures equal to your caster level, maximum 20. Creatures with the fewest hit dice are affected first, and among creatures with equal hit dice, those who are closer to the spell's point of origin are affected first. Hit dice that are not sufficient to affect a creature are wasted. The spell affects each subject according to his hit dice. 6 or less, unconscious. 7 to 12, stunned. 13 or more, confused. Sightless creatures are not affected by Scintillating Pattern. Very useful stuff. Just keep in mind, you can hit your party members with it, so you want to be careful. Spell specialization. Stick with this. And then from here, you can get pretty much whatever you want. If for whatever reason you don't like using Scintillating Pattern, and maybe you want something different, you could use Storm Bolts, which only affects enemies. The only problem is this is a spell that requires some manual work because it's a 30-foot burst centered on you. So you need to make sure you're close enough to the enemies for this to actually affect them. The AI won't automatically do that for you. And as far as, I don't think there's really anything else here that is all that great. So your mileage may vary. For your level 17 feet, you've got a couple of options. You could, if you decided to take both Chain Lightning up a level and you decided to do the Storm Bolt's power, you could go Elemental Focus on electricity. Otherwise, I would say just go Greater Spell Focus Evocation. It doesn't fit into everything else that you're doing, but you pretty much expended everything that's really, really directly going to help you be the best illusionist you can possibly be. Spell specialization. And finally, the creme de la creme of the illusionist. Weird. All right, first we'll talk about shades. This spell functions like Shadow Conjuration, except that it mimics conjuration spells of 8th level or lower. The illusory conjurations created deal 4/5 damage to non-believers, and non-damaging effects are 80% likely to work against non-believers. Good stuff, but again, manual. And finally, all enemies within a 30-foot burst, only enemies. This spell functions like Phantasmal Killer, except it can affect more than one creature. Only the affected creatures see the phantasmal creatures attacking them, though you see the attackers as shadowy shapes. If a subject's fortitude save succeeds, it still takes 3d6 points of damage and is stunned for 1 round. This subject also takes 1d4 points of strength damage. Come on now. Just absolutely fantastic. I even love that freaking photo. Very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. All right, so we did the regular level up. Now let's go through the mythic path. First option should be obvious, abundant casting. You can cast 4 more spells per day of first, second, and third levels each. After that, you can go for spell focus, and we're going to choose illusion. Choose a school of magic you already have spell focus in. The bonus to save DCs provided by spell focus and greater spell focus for that school increased by 1. Next one is obvious. Improved abundant casting. You can cast 4 more spells per day of 4th, 5th, and 6th levels each. Next, you can go ahead and get spell penetration. Add half your mythic rank to caster level checks to overcome spell resistance. If you have greater spell penetration, add your full mythic rank instead, which we will have. I don't believe we have greater spell penetration at the time that we select this, but we will soon after. Next, favorite meta magic and power. You can now use your mythic powers to fuel your meta magic ability. Select one kind of meta magic. The spell level cost for its use decreases by 1. So naturally, Empower takes you up 2 levels in order for you to be able to use it. Now it'll only increase by 1 level, taking Chain Lightning up to that level 7 and allowing you to use those slots and allowing it to be empowered as well. And then finally, for this mythic feat, we actually want to go to extra mythic ability and go ahead and get greater abundant casting. You should be probably at around spell level 7 when you select this. When you can cast 4 more spells per day of 7th, 8th, and 9th levels each. Okay, and that's the build, so let's look at it. Spell level 1, you can fill that up with Magic Missile to completely annihilate people. Spell level 2, you can put in use a mirror image, maybe use a blur, and decide, do you want to stick with those and just put them on your party members? Or you could decide to just burn people up with Burning Act. At level 3, there's just no question in my mind, make it all haste. At level 4, you can maybe put in 1 slot of greater invisibility if you want to switch things up, maybe 1 shot of rainbow pattern if that's what you like. But me personally, I just light enemies up with Phantasmal Killer again and again and again. Level 5, Shadow Evocation is available if you want it, but again, I just light them up with Phantasmal Web. We're getting 9 spell slots of each of these. You get all the crowd control you could possibly need. At level 17, everything is Phantasmal Putrefaction. Go into Meta Magic, put Chain Lightning here, put our Empower spell, write the spell. And now you've got this level 6 version that you'll never use. And then you've got this level 7 empowered version that you should absolutely use. You have a favorite school slot, so you can go ahead and put Massive Visibility there. You could put True Seeing in case you want to be able to use that. And then you've got an empowered version of Chain Lightning that you can light people up with. Level 8, you've got Scintillating Pattern. You could throw in Shadow Evocation once or twice there if you like, or you can use Storm Bolts. It's your preference, whatever you would like. And then finally at level 9, you can add Shades if you want, but to me personally, I just fill it all up with Weird and let her absolutely annihilate everything on the field. And this is quite clearly a crowd control master. Someone who can take complete control of the battlefield at the touch of a button and then let all of her party members come in and do mop-up work. So Nenio is absolutely fantastic. She gets some really nice skills. She gets fantastic spells. She gets a ton of spell slots that she can use for them. Her personality is highly entertaining. What's not to like? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Do you like this build? Is Nenio a person you're going to have in your party when you do your first playthrough? If you enjoyed this build, please leave me a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all in the next video later on this week. Take care.